القصة هي قصة النفايات السياسية.
Good afternoon, you're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Anita Tamim, and these are today's top stories. Interior Minister Nuhad al-Mashnouk acknowledges that errors were committed by the internal security forces in confronting the civilian protests last Saturday. FPM leader Michel Aoun reiterates he's called for the election of a president from the people as he announces he's backing for upcoming protests. And Austrian authorities say 3 people have been arrested in Hungary after the dead bodies of 71 refugees were found in an abandoned truck. Interior Minister Nuhad al-Mashnouk has acknowledged that errors were committed by the internal security forces in confronting the civilian protests last Saturday. During a press conference, he said the ISF, the Army and Parliament Guards were the sides that opened fire during the protests. He vowed an investigation will be held in the shooting and the results will be announced next week. The minister pointed out, however, that no one should attempt to portray the security forces in an evil light. He said mistakes were made on Saturday, but they have done nothing wrong ever since. He carried on saying that camera footage can attest that some politically affiliated thugs got involved in the civilian rally and led it to take a violent turn. The You Sting campaign has called for another mass demonstration in Beirut's Martyrs Square tomorrow, during which Mashnouk urged maximum restraint and reiterated that security forces will do whatever is necessary to protect the people during the rally. And although activists are expecting scores of citizens to turn up, the real challenge is preventing protests from degenerating into chaos again. Ministerial sources say it is unlikely that Prime Minister Tamam Slam will call for new cabinet sessions before disputes with ministers from the Free Patriotic Movement and their allies who boycotted yesterday's government meetings are resolved. More details in the following report.
The municipality of Niamey that lies south of Beirut rejected outright the reopening of the landfill, saying it hoped that the issue will not be discussed by politicians. The conferees hoped that Environment Minister Mohamed al-Mashnouk would not make such a proposal to resolve the country's growing waste management crisis. The Niamey landfill opened in 1997. It was meant to receive trash from Beirut and the heavily populated Mount Lebanon areas for only a few years until a comprehensive solution was devised. But that plan never came to fruition as efforts to pass waste legislation withered. As 18 years ticked by, the valley that was originally expected to receive only 2 million tons of waste swelled into a trash mountain of over 15 million tons. But the landfill was shut down last month, causing a waste crisis that led to anti-government street protests, which have turned violent. On Tuesday, the cabinet failed to resolve the problem after it decided to reject a list of tenders for waste management contracts across Lebanon and refer the problem to a ministerial committee over their high costs. As You Sting activists gear up for Saturday's demonstration, the largest yet, it is expected to draw massive crowds of Lebanese. Human Rights Watch released a report about the use of excessive police violence against protesters last weekend in downtown Beirut. The report urged authorities to investigate the violence and hold police officers accountable for unlawful force. Authorities fired rubber bullets, water cannons, and tear gas at those who mobilized to demand a solution to Lebanon's crisis, while rioters vandalized private property after throwing stones and water bottles to provoke police. What first began as a protest for an eco-friendly solution to the trash crisis has transformed into a popular uprising against political corruption. Since last week, demonstrators have come from all parts of the country to Riyadh al-Salah Square to demand the removal of the government.
Free Patriotic Movement leader Michel Aoun says he supports anti-government protests demanding greater accountability and offered a solution to the political deadlock, starting with a new electoral law if a presidential election through popular vote fails to materialize. Aoun said the FPM was glad the people woke up and began demanding their rights, but he could not agree with the protesters in full because he believed there were reformist politicians in Lebanon. Aoun also called for his own protest next Friday. FPM website Tayyar.org said the protest was set for 5:30 p.m. next Friday at Martyrs Square in downtown Beirut. Progressive Socialist Party leader Walid Jumblat said that Free Patriotic Movement chief Michel Aoun should not be excluded from the government. The FPM have argued against signing any decrees until a decision was made regarding replacements for top security posts, and there was a re-evaluation of the cabinet's decision-making process. Jumblat reportedly spoke to Hone by telephone on Thursday to discuss long-simmering political differences that are crippling the cabinet's work. He said it is better to approve some decrees after consulting with Hone, and it is not right to use the decree issue to exclude him. Jumblat had told Hone on the phone that he was counting on his wisdom in this difficult stage through which Lebanon is passing. And coming up next, ex-Vatican Ambassador Joseph Wesolowski dies before his child abuse trial. More details next. Welcome back. Austrian authorities say 3 people have been arrested in Hungary after the dead bodies of 71 refugees were found in a truck abandoned on a motorway. Police had originally put the death toll at between 20 and 50 after the truck was found on Thursday. Speaking at a press conference in Eisenstadt, Austrian police said the dead comprised 59 men, 8 women and 4 children, including a young infant, and it was likely that those in the truck suffocated. Of the 3 arrested, 1 is a Bulgarian who is believed to have owned the vehicle. Police said the others, a Bulgarian and another with Hungarian documents, are pretty certain to be those who drove the vehicle. Officials said they hoped the 3 would lead them to others responsible for trafficking the dead across Europe. A boat packed with mainly African migrants bound for Italy sank off the Libyan coast, and officials said up to 200 might have died. A security official in the western town of Zuwara, from where the overcrowded boat had set off, said there had around 400 people on board. Many appeared to have been trapped in the hold when it capsized. By late in the evening, the Libyan Coast Guard rescued around 201, of which 147 were reportedly brought to a detention facility for illegal migrants in Sabratha, west of Tripoli. The migrants on board had been from sub-Saharan Africa, Pakistan, Syria, Morocco and Bangladesh. The UNHCR says the number of refugees and migrants crossing the Mediterranean to reach Europe has passed 300,000 this year only.
The number of refugees and migrants in the Mediterranean this year has now exceeded 300,000. That includes 200,000 people landing in Greece and 110,000 in Italy. This represents a large increase from last year, when about 219,000 people crossed the Mediterranean during the whole of 2014. This points obviously to the continued movement of cramming large numbers of people onto boats. The Libya route across the Mediterranean is still active, and the way people are being packed onto boats is causing their deaths. We reiterate our call on European countries to approach the refugee and the migrant crisis in a spirit of solidarity and cooperation, and provide those seeking safety in Europe with safe, legal alternatives to these dangerous, irregular journeys. And these legal avenues, we've been repeating them over and over again, and I'd like to again repeat them now. They already exist, but they are way too few for the numbers of people.
The Vatican says its disgraced former ambassador to the Dominican Republic, Joseph Wesolowski, has died of apparent natural causes. A statement from the Vatican said Wesolowski was found dead in his Vatican room early this morning, where he had been under house arrest. The Vatican prosecutor ordered an immediate autopsy. The Polish-born man was due to go on trial on July 11th at the Vatican Tribunal on charges of abuse and possession of child pornography. However, the hearing was postponed after he was taken ill. Wesolowski would have been the first high-ranking church official to be tried on pedophile charges. He was charged with paying for sex with and abusing children in the Dominican Republic between 2008 and 2013. U.S. President Barack Obama has held out the people of New Orleans as an extraordinary example of renewal and resilience 10 years after the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. Obama also urged Congress to avoid contributing to global economic uncertainty and quickly pass a budget before a deadline at the end of September to prevent a government shutdown.
Everybody have a seat. Hello, everybody. Where are you at? It's been a volatile few weeks around the world. And there's been a lot of reports in the news and stock market swinging and worries about China and about Europe. But the United States of America, for all the challenges that we still have, continue to have the best cards. We just got to play them right. So my message to Congress is pass a budget, prevent a shutdown, don't wait till the last minute, don't worry our businesses or our workers by contributing unnecessarily to global uncertainty. Get it done, and keep the United States of America the anchor of global strength that we are and always should be. We came to realize that what started out as a natural disaster became a man-made disaster, a failure of government to look out for its own citizens. And the storm laid bare a deeper tragedy that had been brewing for decades, because we came to understand that New Orleans, like so many cities and communities across the country, had for too long been plagued by structural inequalities that left too many people, especially poor people, especially people of color, without good jobs or affordable health care or decent housing. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a recap of our top stories. Interior Minister Nuhad Mashnouk acknowledges that errors were committed by the internal security forces in confronting the civilian protests last Saturday. FBM Chief Michel Aoun reiterates his call for the election of a president from the people as he announces he's backing for protests. And Austrian authorities say 3 people have been arrested in Hungary after the dead bodies of 71 refugees were found in an abandoned truck. Those are your top stories for today. I'm Linda Tamim, and I wish you all a very nice weekend.
القصة هي قصة التاريخ السياسية.